Okay. What have you learned in history of China that really interested you?
The part in Chinese history that really interested me was their relationship with the British.
What about their relationship with the British?
I really liked seeing the turning point of who had the power in the relationship, because I feel like every relationship, especially like foreign countries and allies, you can definitely see who's more powerful. To me, it starts with Qinglong the emperor, and Qinglong was described as vain because he had a lot of pictures of himself, and I thought it was interesting that the author wrote that he had the most paintings painted in the whole dynasty of emperors. And I think his vainness connects to the tribute system as well, because when the British came to China for the McCartney mission, they gave them like gifts to the court, which Qinglong, he didn't like them and he disapproved of them. And I was kind of captivated in the types of gifts that the British gave to China, because...
What kind of gifts did they give him?
Well, he brought like a hot air balloon, which showed the the British advances in their technological inventions. He also brought like pocket gloves, which I think is pretty cool.
Was there a reason behind these gifts?
Yeah, like the British were trying to kind of, I guess, impress the Chinese so they could accept the type of agreements that the British wanted to give. And Qinglong denied them though, because he just wasn't interested. But I feel like if I were part of the court that the British brought, and I were the Chinese audience, that if I saw like the type of stuff they brought, like the hot air balloon, I would be really interested, because China wasn't introduced to that yet.
And how do you think you would benefit from those gifts?
Well, I think that the British brought more of technological stuff than kind of their culture. And I think that the British would have benefited more if they brought more cultural stuff from their home, because China wasn't interested in like what they brought. They weren't interested in like the technological points and like the barometers and the astrological stuff. So I think Qinglong would have been more interested in what the British brought if, they were more personal and cultural. So in the end, the British didn't get what they wanted, and Qinglong denied them. But the ironic part to me is that when the Opium War started, China didn't have the power to say no to the British like Qinglong did. They couldn't say no to the British even though they wanted to. Like when the British tried to give them unequal treaties, China had to say yes, because they knew that if they didn't say yes, the British would have the power to kind of ruin them. Whereas back then, when the British were giving China gifts, China had the power to say no. And when the British and other foreign countries brought religion into China, I think that this really showed the power shifting. Because religion in China was like it wasn't good. From what history shows, the religion that was brought in was negatively approached. A lot of violence and murders came from that, and it just brought a negative context to what the British were bringing. Where when they brought technological stuff, they didn't do anyone harm. When they brought their religion in, they really harmed China.
How did they harm China by bringing in religion?
Well, China didn't want religion. They didn't want their religion. They had their own. And it's just like, if someone was to offer you it's just like, you don't give someone what they don't want, If they say no, that's a no. And if you keep on persisting like Britain did, and they were being pretty violent with their acts, then it's just going to make the relationship worse. And to me, I wonder if China had accepted some of their tributes early on instead of saying no. I wonder if their relationship would be different, and if the British would have, constantly persisted on giving China what they didn't want, like religion and the foreign policies and just everything.
Do you think it would have been different?
I think it would have, because if China had said yes to Britain early on, I think that the British would have felt like their relationship was equal. But when the Opium War started, I think the British were more wanted to prove to China that they had power. And they did have power because they had the alliances of others. And yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Nice.